Yo, it's your boy Jay Best, and welcome back to the Straight to the Point podcast, season 2, episode 21. On today's episode, I will be giving y'all my playoff tiers. So I took all the teams in the playoffs and I ranked them based on how I view them. And then I'm in this episode with my playoff preview. I'm gonna break down every matchup and give y'all my picks for who's moving on to the divisional round next weekend. All right. But before I start this episode, as always, I want to thank God for waking me up this morning and allowing me to talk about sports, which is something that I love to do. Without Him, I would not be here right now. So let's go ahead and let's get straight to the point. All right, my playoff tiers. Okay, so I took all the teams in the playoffs and I went ahead and made my tiers like I did after 6 weeks and after 12 weeks. For this tier list, it's only the playoff team. So any team that did not make it did not make the list. All right, so let's start with the bottom tier. We're going bottom up. I'm going to go with the party crasher tier. Okay, all four of these teams are crashing the party. To me, you can look at all these teams and say, they really should not be here. Prior to the season, we looked at these teams. One of these teams we looked at making the playoffs, maybe winning the game. But after we saw the way the team played throughout the year, we was like, they might not even make the playoffs. But all four of these teams made the big dance. They crashed the party. They shouldn't be here. The Texans, the Buccaneers, the Steelers, and the Packers. All right, I'm gonna break down each one real quick. The Texans, new coach, rookie quarterback, right? We thought this was going to be a rebuild. We thought they needed about, well, at least I thought they needed about 2 to 3 years. You can ask Texans fans. Nobody expected this team to overachieve the way that they did. And they came out this year and they said, forget a rebuild. This was by far the quickest rebuild I've ever seen in my life. I thought they needed about 2 or 3 years to get their feet wet before they became real contenders, and they're already winning their division. They didn't just squeak into the playoffs as a wild card team. They won the AFC South. So great job by Houston. And the Buccaneers, I got a little pushback the other day whenever I said Todd Bowles needs so much more credit than what he's getting right now. Somebody said, well, he won the worst division in football. But even in the worst division in football, we did think they was going to win this division. We thought it was going to be the third team in this division. We all said Saints and Falcons. Nobody said Buccaneers. All right, so I do think Todd Bowles deserves a lot of credit. I do think this Buccaneers team overachieved because outside of their receiver position with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, what do they really have? I mean, Baker Mayfield, we all know who he is. He's been in the league long enough, and we have a huge sample size on him to know who he really is. So this team, looking at it on paper, outside of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, don't really have playmakers like that. So I do think this team is crashing the party. They should not be here. They won the division that nobody thought they would win. Great job, Buccaneers, the Steelers. All right, I came out all year and told y'all we do not have a quarterback. I thought we did. Last year, going into this year, I thought Kenny Pickett would take that next step because he showed promise at the end of last year. Come to find out, he took 5 steps back. Going into the season, I said the goal is to make the playoffs, at least win one game. At least win one game. Well, Kenny Pickett took some steps back. You got to change the goal. Let's be real, all right? The way we was looking at one point, we was not going to make the playoffs, right, based on our performance. I still thought we could squeeze in there like we did, but most people could look at us and say that's not a playoff team. But Mike Tomlin got us here. TJ Watt got us here. And like I said, we're crashing the party. Overachievers. Next, I got the Packers. All right, the Packers. Nobody thought this team was going to make the playoffs. I picked the Vikings to win this division. I thought that the Detroit Lions would get it as a wild card, I believe. And I had the Packers as kind of not really a rebuild because the team around it is it's not ready, but it's not terrible. Like I think the Packers and the Texans, the way I view them going into this year is two different things. I thought the Texans will be more of a rebuild. The Packers is more of a is Jordan Love our guy kind of deal. And Jordan Love came in. He started off hot, then he got cold, and then he got hot again. And I think Matt LaFleur kind of finally made him comfortable, finally adjusted his play calls to what Jordan Love likes. And now Jordan Love looks pretty good going into the playoffs. All right. So this team, to me, definitely overachieved. All four of these teams are overachievers. They're party crashers. They should not be here, but they busted the doors down. They came in the party. Now you got to deal with them. If none of these teams win this weekend, that is not a knock on them at all. They already technically, I told you, every team has different goals. Some team goals is win the Super Bowl, like realistic goals, win the Super Bowl. Some is to be above 500, some is to make the playoffs. All of these teams crush their goal. So win, lose, tie this weekend. We got to look at them with respect and say they had a great season. Not saying they can't win a game this weekend. Not saying that, but if they don't win, hey, nothing wrong with that. All right, next tier. We got to go with this is the my time to shine tier. And I'm talking about me. J-Best. All right. I think that all season I've been saying the Lions are fool's gold and the Dolphins are bullies. The Dolphins was only beating teams below 500. Against teams above 500, I want to say they were 1-5 or 1-6, but I want to go at 1-5. And they just haven't beat good teams, but they beat up on the bad team. They put up 70 on the Denver Broncos when they wasn't really a good team. Everybody came out and said this team is elite. This team is scary. They have the scariest offense in the league. They're probably going to win the AFC. They was in that conversation for Super Bowl at one point, and I said, pump the brakes. It's Tua we talking about. I'm not really a full believer in Tua, not full believer in this squad. And now you see they didn't even win their division this year. They collapsed, and now I believe that this is my time to tell y'all that I told you so, because I don't think they're gonna make it far in the playoffs either. The Lions, fool's gold. I think that we put them in the conversation with, and this is prior to the Eagles falling apart. We put them in a conversation with the Eagles and the 49ers at one point, even with the Cowboys at one point. But I thought this team was just a team that they need to get to the playoffs, get over that hump, get in the playoffs, get their feet wet. They're not going to win much this year, but next year they'll be true contenders. A lot of y'all try to say they are real contenders this year. I disagree, and I think that it's my time to shine because I'm going to be right about both of these teams because I think both of these teams are going to be sent home packing after this upcoming weekend. All right, scary matchups. Both of these two teams are scary to go against. They're both wild card teams. And I think that, and I even talked about the Rams earlier this year. I don't think I want to play this team first round of the playoffs, even though we're at home. Even though my team's at home, I do not want to play this team first round. So I'm looking at the Rams. Okay, the Rams offensively is an elite team. We're looking at an offense that prides themselves on running the ball. You look at Sean McVay, and he's not really you think more of a flashy kind of throw the ball down the field kind of guy, but he's running the ball with Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams is second this year in rushing yards behind Christian McCaffrey. Right, Kyren Williams came out of nowhere, took over his backfield, and Sean McVay ran away with it, never looked back. And he's been running the ball very well. But they can also throw the ball. Right, we think about Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, two good receivers. Puka Nacua has been breaking records all year as a rookie. Right, and then Cooper Kupp, we already know what he brings to the table. So this team is very well balanced. How do you stop this offense? It's going to be hard to do in this playoffs, I think. So they're a very scary matchup, the Browns. I tried to count the Browns so many times. I said that the final wild card spots would come down to the Steelers, the Bills, the Texans, and the Broncos, I want to say. But the Browns stayed there. Even after the Chubb injury, even after the Deshaun Watson injury, they stayed relevant. They kept winning games. So I got to start giving them respect. Their defense is legit. Myles Garrett is a stud. He's not no TJ Watt, but he is pretty good and he affects the game. And I think this defense is going to be a very tough defense to go against in the playoffs. The next tier, not the same. These two teams are not the same. Turn the clock back about 2 years ago. If you saw the Bills and the Chiefs on your schedule in the playoffs, you said, "Oh man, it's over with." It's over with. This year, I think you can go into each game with a little bit of optimism, a little bit. You can look at that team and say, "Okay, I think we can rock with them. If we do what we got to do, I think we can beat them as long as we don't beat ourselves." That's how I look at the Bills and the Chiefs. The Chiefs, I've been saying it all year, that Chiefs kingdom is falling apart. You saw the frustration of Patrick Mahomes build up throughout the year. The Taylor Swift distractions. This team is just not the same. They're dropping passes, not getting open. And a couple of games, I saw this defense get worked, even though they're pretty good defense. They're top 5 in a lot of categories, but I saw a couple of teams go against the Kansas City and have their way with the defense, right? And then Patrick Mahomes, I think we're kind of babying him a little bit. I think when Aaron Rodgers last year in Green Bay, his team led the league in drops. And we blamed Aaron Rodgers for that season. This year, Patrick Mahomes, his team leads the league in drops, and I feel like that's all we're looking at. Mahomes not playing that great either. Look at his numbers. His numbers are taking a step back. So this team, to me, is very gettable in the playoffs. The Bills, same thing with them. They're very up and down, very roller coaster like team. Some weeks they look really good. Some weeks they look very average. Over the last stretch of games, they beat some backup quarterbacks, and then they beat a team in the Miami Dolphins that I said is bullies, right? They can't beat good to above average teams. So I think both of these teams is not the same. I don't look at these two teams with fear in my heart like I did a couple of years ago. All right, next tier, I got puncher's chance. The Eagles still have a puncher's chance. I know they lost 5 of the last 6. I know they don't look the same. I know the offense looks a little pedestrian. I know the defense is getting worked on every week. I understand this, but I think they still have a puncher's chance. Y'all know the boxer Deontay Wilder. All right, Deontay Wilder, he is not a fundamentally sound boxer. But he's a boxer that has one heck of a right hand. Okay, if he hits you with that right hook, if he connects, you're going to fall down. And that's basically what it is. You're going to drop, right? That's what kind of boxer he is. He is a heavy hitter. And I think that that's what the Eagles are. They have heavy hitters on this team. Their roster is pretty elite. So I think that if they can connect, they will drop you and they will knock you out, right? They're not necessarily a good team right now. They're not fundamentally sound right now, but they have the roster to just go in there and punch you one real good time, and you might just be knocked out. So I think they have that puncher's chance in this playoffs going forward. Next year, no excuse. There is no excuse for the Cowboys or the Ravens not to be in the Super Bowl this year. There's no excuse. If for the Cowboys, y'all been praising Dak Prescott all year like he is an elite quarterback. He's having a pretty good season, right? Like he's an elite quarterback. He's people say he's the best quarterback in the NFC. So why can't you with that crazy defense y'all love to talk about, and with CeeDee Lamb, who's the next big thing at receiver, why can't this team make the Super Bowl? Why not? Right? There's no excuse not to get there. The Eagles not fell apart, right? The only other competition is the 49ers, and according to y'all, Dak Prescott's way better than Brock Purdy, so you should be able to go into Santa Clara, go into San Francisco, and be able to get the dub. So why can't this team make the Super Bowl? To me, there's no reason why. As much as all the love I'm hearing about the Cowboys, this is their year. This is finally their year. I feel like I hear that every year, but this is finally their year. So make the Super Bowl. Prove me wrong. All right. There's no excuse for the Ravens. The Ravens, the AFC has never been this weak in my life. The AFC to me is so close. There is no favorite in my opinion. I can't sit here and say for sure that a certain team is going to the Super Bowl. So because of that, in the Ravens, in the public eyes, the best team in the conference, right? They're arguably, some people say, the best team in the league, because I think the 49ers is the best team in the league. But you saw what happened when they went head to head, right? So Lamar Jackson has no excuse this year not to make the Super Bowl. There's no excuse. All right, go out there and play like you've been playing, and you should be able to make the Super Bowl because the conference is pretty weak right now. I told you the Bills and the Chiefs are gettable, and those are the two teams that's been ruling the conference for the past couple of years. So you should be able to go in there and make some noise. All right. So those two teams, no excuses. And then to me, the top of the tier is the Super Bowl favorites, the 49ers. I think the 49ers are by far the Super Bowl favorites. I think they have the best roster. Yes, they lost to the Ravens pretty bad a couple of weeks ago, but I do think this team in the playoffs will get rolling and nobody will be able to stop them. I got to stick with my pick with the Eagles, right? Because I'm not that kind of person. I'm going to come up here and change my pick, but I do think the 49ers have the best chance to win a Super Bowl this year. Brock Purdy is surrounded by a gauntlet of talent, a gauntlet of weapons. So I do think that this, and the defense is no joke as well. So I think that they are the Super Bowl favorite. They should be. And I do think they can go in there and win it all this year. All right, so those are my playoff tiers from top to bottom. You had the party from bottom to top. You had the party crashers, my time to shine. I explained those scary matchups, teams that are not the same, puncher's chance, no excuse, and a Super Bowl favorite. All right, so let's go ahead and get to kind of the end of the episode. I'm going to just kind of quickly break down each matchup and tell y'all why I think why I picked the teams that I picked to win these games. So starting tomorrow, okay, tomorrow Super Wild Card Weekend begins on Saturday at 3:30 on NBC. We got the Browns at Houston. Okay, Houston is hosting this game. Like I said, overachieved, great year. C.J. Stroud is going to be a star. He's already kind of a star, but I think he's going to be more of a star moving forward. DeMeco Ryans clearly a good head coach who took a team with no expectations, took them to the playoffs. Not only just getting to the playoffs, but they won their division. Nobody thought they would do this, but I think this fairy tale got to come to an end eventually. I'm going with the Browns at Houston. A couple weeks ago, we saw the Browns did beat Houston at Houston. C.J. Stroud did not play, right? But in that game, we saw the Browns defense get 3 sacks and 2 interceptions. We also saw Amari Cooper go for 11 catches, 265 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then David Njoku, 6 catches and 44 yards and a touchdown. Now, David Njoku numbers aren't that great, but what I'm saying is I feel like this is a matchup problem because if you take away Amari Cooper, and I think they're going to remember, okay, Amari Cooper gave us work last time we played them, so we got to limit him. But David Njoku is honestly Joe Flacco's favorite target. So if you put all the attention on Amari Cooper, then I think Njoku is going to be able to eat. So I think this is a matchup nightmare for this Texans defense. I think DeMeco going into this game is going to say, okay, we got to limit Amari Cooper. But don't forget his safety blanket, his favorite target, Joe Flacco's favorite target is David Njoku. So how do you approach this game? I'm not really sure, honestly, as a football fan. I'm not sure how the Texans should approach this game. I think this is a game where they're going to say we just got to outscore the Cleveland Browns, but you can't really do that because the Browns defense is pretty elite. So I'm gonna go with the Browns to go into Houston and win this game. Not saying CJ Stroud go with the bed, nothing like that, but it's going to take a huge performance from CJ Stroud to be able to come and to be able to win this game against this defense. And the Texans, to me, the reason why I give CJ Stroud so much praise is because he's doing it without elite weapons, right? Nico Collins, like he's not a number one receiver. You know what I'm saying? Look at Dalton Schultz, he's pretty good, but Tank Dell's gone. Noah Brown is pretty like his weapons are not elite enough for me in order to go into this game and confidently pick the Texans. All right, so I got to go with the Browns at Houston. All right, the next game on Saturday at 7 o'clock is the Dolphins at the Chiefs. I know everybody's been hearing about this weather. It's supposed to be 0 degrees with a wind chill approaching negative 35, I believe. Look, I would not be out there. As much as I love football, you cannot pay me to go out there and watch that game. If I was playing football, I had to fake an injury or something because there's no way I'll be out there in negative 35-degree weather. You're lost in your mind, okay? I don't care if it's the Steelers playing the Super Bowl. If it's negative 35 degrees, I'm not going. Period, point blank. I'll be at home watching the game comfortably in heat. All right. But just looking at the weather, the Dolphins has lost 10 straight games when the weather is below 40 degrees. So it's not only a weather thing, but the Dolphins, I told y'all, man, they're not that good of a team. I think y'all praised them way too much when they put up their 70 points. And they've been doing it too. They've been putting up a lot of points against a lot of bad teams. And I think we get caught up in the moment where we're seeing guys doing things that we never seen before. We're seeing Tyreek Hill move like we've never seen a player move before. We're seeing this team put up yards and put up numbers like we haven't seen. And I think we get caught up in that and we're forgetting. Okay, they did beat the Commanders. Okay, yeah, they did beat the Broncos when the Broncos was pretty bad. They beat the Broncos. Okay, yeah, they beat a couple of these bad teams that we saw them beat. And I think that we didn't really look at it that way. We kind of looked at it as, okay, this is the greatest show on turf versus saying they played a bunch of nobodies. I did come out and say the Chiefs will be first round exits, but I did not think the Chiefs would play the Dolphins first round. So for me, it's like kind of pick your poison kind of thing. But I do think the Dolphins will lose this game in Kansas City. I hate to do it. I was supposed to pick against the Chiefs. Like I was supposed to go into the playoffs no matter who they pick and pick against them because I said they'll be first round exits, but I can't do it when they're playing a team that I've been dogging the whole entire year. Even when they put up 70 points, I said pump the brakes. This team is not like that. All right, so I'm gonna go with the Chiefs at home. It's gonna be a terrible game weather-wise. You would think that the team that runs the ball better should win this game, and the Dolphins can run the ball with Devon Achane and with Raheem Mostert, but I'm just going to lean towards the Chiefs on this one because I just don't trust the Dolphins at all. Like schematically, you would think, okay, the Dolphins can run the ball, but like I said, past 10 games under 40 degrees, they haven't won. This is a team that's used to sunshine, weather, and now they're going to them. This going to be hell for them. Right, it's gonna be hell for them, and hell for us is like hot, but hell for them is like cold. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta go with the Chiefs at home. I'm just gonna go with the experience, and I'm gonna go with the fact that the Chiefs actually did beat a couple of teams above 500 this year. The Dolphins have not, so I gotta go with Mahomes, and yeah, also Mahomes versus Tua. Come on now, I gotta go with Mahomes at home against the Dolphins. All right, Sunday, the Steelers and the Bills. This gonna hurt a little bit, but I gotta go with the Bills, and this is why. T.J. Watt not playing. All right, TJ Watt is the most important player on our team. This is why I argue he is should be in the most valuable player conversation every year because our defense goes as TJ go. Now, I'm not saying that our backups can't go or Alex Highsmith, because we do have a couple of stars around TJ, but TJ is the engine. All right, we go as he goes. Minkah Fitzpatrick is coming back from injury. That's huge. Alex Highsmith is going to be, we're going to lean on him to bring pressure this time. And Nick Herbig, okay, remember I said this name, Nick Herbig. He is a player that I watched throughout preseason get pressure. He had a strip sack against Seattle, I want to say. He had a strip sack against Seattle. Nick Herbig is emerging. Okay, I'm starting to see promise and flashes in him that I once saw in TJ Watt earlier in his career. But I think that's too much pressure to put on them to go into this game and stop a Josh Allen. But it's gonna be bad weather. It's gonna be not too cold, but it's gonna be a lot of snow. Right? It's gonna be a lot of snow. So really, you think the team that runs the ball the best is gonna win this game? From week 12 to week 18, rushing attempts wise, the Steelers ran the ball 231 times. Over this 3-week span, we went 3-0. We ran the ball great, perfectly, right? And that's what led to those 3 wins. And then the Bills, who ran the ball 220 times, they kind of took the ball out of Josh Allen's hand a little bit, and that's how they got hot to end the season. So this is going to be, I don't think the Bills are going to blow us out, right? Not going to blow the Steelers out, but I'm just not confident enough to come up here and say the Steelers will win if TJ Watt is not playing. Like that's a huge like the Bills don't have Gabe Davis. That's an extension of their passing game, right? You got Stephon Diggs, Dalton Kincaid, and then you got Gabe Davis. So you lost a weapon, but if we're talking about a guy for a guy, you lost Gabe Davis. We lost freaking TJ Watt. Like, you know what I'm saying? So without TJ Watt, I'm not really that confident. I think with TJ Watt, we had like a 45 to 47% chance to win as long as we didn't shoot ourselves in the foot. But without TJ Watt, I think it drops down to about 35 to 37. But it drops down a whole 10%, in my opinion. And the only reason it dropped down 10% is because I don't think the Bills are as good. It's not a normal 2 seed. Normally a 1 and 2 seed, we look at them and okay, they're gonna kill that 7 seed. To me, this matchup is not as bad as people think. And I think that the Steelers have a chance to win this game. Not saying they can't win it, but I have to come up here and be honest. I don't think they will. I'm gonna go with the Bills at home against Pittsburgh. All right, it's Sunday at 3:30. We got the Cowboys and the Packers. All right, Packers at the Cowboys. Look, this is that time of year where the Cowboys they go throughout the season. They look like a really good elite team. Then they get in the playoffs and they start to choke games. They start to choke, and mainly I'm talking about Dak Prescott, right? And the people that say I'm a Cowboy hater, I never came out here and said they wouldn't have a great season, right? When I came up here and made my playoff prediction early in the year, I said the Cowboys would make the playoffs. I thought it'd be a wild card. I thought the Eagles would win the division, but I said the Cowboys would make the playoffs. They probably gonna have a 12-win season. Like this is not new to me. People talking about they had 3 straight years with 12 wins. Yes, they've had 2 straight years with 12 wins prior to this year, and they lost both years to the 49ers. One in the first round because it was wild card weekend, and then the next year, last year, divisional round, right? And then this year, another 12-win season. Hey, history kind of repeats itself a little bit when it comes to the Cowboys. So, with all that being said, I'm picking the Cowboys to win this to win this week. All right, I'm picking the Cowboys this week. I think the Packers just have too much on their hands, man. It's too much to deal with. I think Jaire Alexander and Christian Watson being available for this game is going to mean a lot. Jaire Alexander and Christian Watson are both questionable. AJ Dillon is doubtful. But since week 9, you would think that Jordan Love will be rattled this game because the Cowboys can get pressure on the quarterback. But since week 9, Jordan Love has a passer rating of 100.9 against pressure. Right, so Jordan Love has really found his footing in the NFL, and I think over the past couple of weeks, he's been one of the highest quarterbacks. I think we can all agree on that. So I gotta go with the Cowboys, man. I can't do it. I can't come up here and try and call this upset because it's to me, it's just not possible unless the Packers can run the ball very effectively. If Aaron Jones and if AJ Dillon plays and they have that 1-2 punch where they can just run the ball a lot, I think that can not only win time of possession, but they can also just keep that Dallas offense off the field. I don't think the Packers defense is that nice. I don't think they're that good. So I don't think they can really shut down the Cowboys offense. So I think what you got to do is win time of possession, run the ball with AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones, use that 2-headed monster, and I trust Matt LaFleur to make the right decisions. But at the end of the day, I gotta go with the better team, which is the Cowboys. And they're at home, they're really good at home. So I gotta go with Dallas over the Packers. All right. But good luck to the Packers. Good luck, man. Next, we got on Sunday night at 7 o'clock, we got the Rams and the Lions. All right, the Rams and the Lions, upset alert. I'm calling it right now. The Lions are going home. They already going to be home. They're going to be sent out the playoffs this upcoming weekend. All right. Sam Laporta is questionable. He's a very important piece of this offense. He's kind of that. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the safety blanket, but I feel like Sam Laporta is a bigger safety blanket because not only he's a bigger target, but he plays tight end. We all know quarterbacks love their tight ends because they run the shorter routes and they got the bigger target. They got the bigger body, so it's a bigger target to be able to hit him. So Sam Laporta is questionable, but this Lions defense is not good. It's against the pass. All right, right now they have the fourth most passing yards allowed this year. The fourth most, right? I believe the 3 teams that's worse than them is the Commanders, the Chargers, and the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers in the playoffs, but the other 2 teams are not playoff teams. And you allow that many passing yards, and you're going against a team with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, I feel like you're in trouble. And it's Matthew Stafford coming back to Detroit. I think you are in trouble. All right, and then what they do is they can stop the rushing yard. They can stop the run. All right, they are second. They have the second fewest rushing yards allowed, so they can stop the run. But against the pass, they're terrible. They give up the second most passing yards per attempt, so they give up 8 yards a pop when you throw the ball. I think that the Rams are just going to tear that apart, right? And if it becomes a shootout, I'm gonna still lean towards the Rams to be able to get the job done. That AJ Hutchinson is going to have to play a huge role in this game if the Lions want to have a chance to win it. I think the Rams just going to be able to do whatever they want to do because you can't just commit to the pass because you got Kyren Williams. I just talked about it earlier. Kyren Williams is the second most rushing yards this year. So you can't just be a Lions and say, okay, we'll commit to the pass and make sure they can't throw the ball because then they're going to run it. This is why I said the Rams are such a dangerous team to play in the playoffs because it can beat you either way. However you want to go, they can do it, right? I think the Rams have the advantage in this game, and not only that, but the Rams are 7-1 down this past 8-game stretch. All right, the only loss was to the Baltimore Ravens in overtime. Y'all remember that punt return, that crazy punt return? Like that's the only loss they had over the past 8 weeks. So I think the Rams are just hot right now. I think the Rams, this is a matchup nightmare for the Lions. I think the Lions would have preferred to play a team like the Packers maybe because the Packers aren't that dynamic offensively, but you got the Rams. And the Rams offensively is elite. So I think they're really going to struggle with this team. I think Matthew Stafford going to have a field day, especially this is homecoming game, right? He's going back. This is his first game. It's his first playoff game in Detroit. And mind you, he spent most of his career in Detroit. So this is going to be a really good one. But I think I'm going to take the Rams over the Lions in that one. So that's my upset for this weekend. Then the Eagles and the Bucks. All right, I'm going with the Eagles. I could care less about what people think about the Eagles. I can care less about this past 6 weeks of losing 5 out of the past 6. But I do think that the Eagles just have the better team. And like I said, this is the Deontay Wilder kind of team. They're not fundamentally sound, but they can connect and they can swing. They can connect that punch. They're going to knock you out. So I got to go with the Eagles in this game. The Bucks have allowed the 5th fewest rushing yards, right? The Todd Bowles defense is good against the run, but against the pass, they give it the 3rd most yards, right? So remember I talked about the Lions give it the 4th most, but they give it the 3rd most, right? So I think that Jalen Hurts can take advantage of that and connect with. I'm not sure about DeVonta Smith's his availability. It might be a little questionable because maybe he got hurt a week prior to this one. AJ Brown got hurt last week, but recently, AJ Brown, he deleted all his Eagles related content from his Instagram. So I don't know what's going on over there, but I need him to be on the field this upcoming weekend or on Monday. All right. And then today, AJ Brown didn't practice. So I still think Jalen Hurts can take advantage of that Bucks secondary that's pretty weak. And I think they'll still be able to run the ball because yes, the Bucks give up the 5th fewest rushing yards, but the Philly's O line is pretty good in the run, right? So I think the Philadelphia Eagles need to just get back to running the ball until the team just completely stops you from running the ball. And guess what that's going to do? That's going to open up the pass. So I think Philly can get back on track when they win this game on Monday night against the Buccaneers. So I'm gonna go with Philly over the Bucks. All right. And that is all my playoff predictions for this weekend. So that is it for today's episode. We're gonna go ahead and close this out, and I hope that y'all are able to catch every game this weekend, man. It's playoff time. Right, it's playoff time. One of the most exciting times of the year leading up to the biggest game of the year. Okay, this is when teams are desperate, right? It's time to put up a shut up. It's win and go home. There is no next week if you don't win this week. All right, so I think this is the best time to watch football. Make sure y'all tune in. Like I said, it's on Saturday all the way to Monday. We're going to have games back to back to back. So y'all enjoy that. Y'all stay blessed. I'm going to see y'all next week to recap Super Wild Card Weekend. But that's all for today. It's your boy Jay Best. I'm out.